Alright everybody, I'm back with another time lapse. Now this was a commission from one of my friends who likes to play tabletop games. He enjoys Dungeons of Dragons and he's played a few others. I think there was one called Cyberpunk that he had me commission me a character for. And now this one's another game called, I believe it was Dragonbane. So pretty cool game. I don't know too much about it, but he told me about his character. His character is a frog, but a humanoid frog who is a martial artist or a monk is the role, and he's also a seafaring, space traveling frog who loves his family, loves his little daughter. So it was a really fun story. Getting into this one, you can see in the very beginning I had set up notes and I set up references and I set up a sketch. Now this particular piece was very interesting in the way it developed because the sketch evolved and it really shows how my current process, even though it looks kind of funky in the beginning, it's a process that I right now can trust because I think the final result turned out really good in this one. Because I kept telling myself, you know what, the angle of the head is wrong. This looks imbalanced. This should be there. And you can see me moving the arms and legs and hands around constantly, changing the size of things. And it's because I'm searching, because I can tell that something looks off. I'm mirroring back and forth. I'm constantly looking at this piece. And for me, it's like what Bob Ross finds as, what he likes about his style of wet on wet oil paint is exactly what I like about digital art, is that if I keep erasing stuff and moving things around, I don't have to literally cut and paste like a piece of paper. I can cut and paste digitally. I can move things around easily and it won't ruin the paper if I erase it, 5 times over. And I don't have to take another piece of paper and put it on top of it and trace it. I could just create another layer. So this piece could not have been done for me without the digital medium. So for me, it shows the potential of what kind of visions I can come up with as long as I have the malleability of digital art. Because at this point, I think the proportions, like I had to tilt his head back and I had to change, the positions of everything. I wanted it to look balanced. Every time I mirrored the image, I was like, the angle of the body looks weird. And there were just some glaring mistakes that I wanted to correct. Now, if I had a little bit more time, I still could have gotten it even better than this one. But I tried to work within a time limit on this one because I need to be a little bit more diligent about how I'm using my time when I'm doing freelance work like this. And for this one, I went within the correct amount of time. So I was successful in staying within $25 an hour with the active work time involved in this one. So that was good for me. For this one, this is the final pass of the line art. I did do that sketch process that I do with the HP pencil, where I erase with a soft airbrush, and then I keep going over it and keep moving things around until it gets right. And then whenever I feel like I can trust the sketch and I feel like everything's in the right place, I move into my line art layer where I have a special brush that I like to use. So you can see what I'm doing here. Now, in the last video, I got a little bit into, my conversion into the Christian faith a little bit more and why I'm diving into, religious work rather than secular work. I forgot exactly what I left off on that last video on, but yeah, that's been a real life transition for me. So after this commission, I am moving on to another church mural. So a local priest, actually the priest who asked me to draw that first church moved to another parish, and I was going to do more for the home parish, but he called me again and said, hey, we have this other priest who needs art, and he's been dreaming of this painting for like 4 years, and I ended up going to that church and talking to him, and now I'm set up to do another church. Now this time they're going to pay me. So the first one I did as a donation to the parish. It was a decision I had to pray about and discern about, because as an artist, I don't do things for exposure. Exposure to me is not a payment. And there are a lot of artists who sort of live by that. If you're young and you can afford to take risks and the potential reward for exposure is like within the millions, even that's a risky risk. It's still a risk, but I might take that if I was younger. But right now, as a family man, I absolutely need to make sure that if I'm doing art, that every minute is paid for, right? Or else I'm just, doing it as a hobby, which is fine. but I don't have all that much time, you know, because I need to feed my wife and kids now. Like, I don't have all that much freedom to explore, you know, different mediums and different techniques as an artist. As of right now, I feel that I've grown into a type of artist that I think achieves pretty decent results. I'm able to tell a story with my art, and I want to use it now for good. I want to just take my art. I no longer need to go to school for it. I no longer need to, I mean, I can still develop as an artist, but I develop as I go. The deliberate practice part of it, a lot of that's been done, and I still do it. You know, I treat the performance as practice in a way, because I try to get it right. I try to get a good result, but I still, you know, try to use a scientific method and be like, what could have gone better here and there? Try to make hypotheses and try to test them. And it's been working out. Like, this line art for me looks really good. And I remember doing the majority of this line art in this layer in a single 45-minute sitting. That was that one video where I was talking about One Piece, and sort of growing out of One Piece. I remember sitting and being able to concentrate on the line art sort of unconsciously and getting a whole lot done in one sitting. So I'm getting better, because the performance is my practice. Like, I'm getting paid, I'm practicing, I'm learning all at the same time, which is good. Now, this next project, it's a big church. It's going to have a lot more figures. We're going to draw, you know, still the God, the Father, and the Holy Spirit with the crosses and installation. Not too different from the last piece I did. However, in that last piece I did on the church, it was, besides God and the Holy Spirit, it was just 2 small angels. Now, for this next one, we're going to do many saints and angels. I don't know which yet, but that's what the priest is envisioning. So I just texted him today, said, hey, which figures do you want up there with God? He said he's going to have to think about it, because he hasn't thought about it much. If he allows me some creative liberties to pick myself, maybe I'll do that. But I'm going to make sure I talk to him about it, because with any painting that we do in a church, he has to bring it to pastoral council for approval. So I'm going to take my time, make sure this process goes well. Now, what's fun is that the person who commissioned me this is a good friend of mine. He is Catholic, but he's a gamer. He loves these tabletop games, which is really cool. Now, this part, I was very satisfied with the result of the rendering, because I'm using that value scale, but instead of making the palettes, I just kind of went in there and painted it. And I feel like I need to trust my ability enough where I actually can do that, right? I don't have to make the palettes. I can just go in there and like sort of use my intuition, because the intuition is there. Sometimes I do go back to, like, you know, deconstruct my work, and then I find that, you know what, my technique was pretty good all along. So here, what really helped this one pop was the highlight coming from the left, from behind him. It's not necessarily coming from that glowing fist, but it's coming, there's a general light coming from in front of him. I did some green overlay there at the end, but we have a highlight coming from behind him, and it just really made the piece pop, especially that light on the back of his feet and the back of his head. So yeah, as you can see, I'm talking about a whole lot of different things when I do these time-lapse videos, talking about my evolution as an artist and as a Christian, as a person, as a family man, all the while talking about and looking at these time lapses here. So again, thank you for listening. Thanks for all of you for supporting my videos. I'll talk to y'all later. Oh yeah, by the way, for the new mural, one of my coworkers offered me to use like his GoPro and some recording equipment. So I'm going to take him up on that offer. So as soon as I get a digital piece going, which you guys are going to see on this channel, I'm going to try to record the whole process of making that mural too. It's going to be a several month project for sure. So it's going to be quite an adventure for me. But I definitely want to take it as a way of sharing my talent as an artist and sharing my life as a Christian. So yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for listening. God bless. Bye-bye.